If you're living in Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, or any other high-cost city right now, do something for me before this video gets started. Pull up Zillow, type in your zip code, and look at what a standard 3-bedroom house costs in your neighborhood. Oh wait, $800,000, maybe $900,000. In some zip codes, well over $1 million for a completely unremarkable house with a small yard and a 2-car garage. Now run the mortgage math. At current interest rates, 6.5% to 7%, your monthly principal and interest payment is somewhere between $4,500 and $6,000 before taxes, before insurance, before a single repair. And the rent that same house would generate on the open market, maybe $3,500 if you're lucky. You'd be hemorrhaging $1,500 to $2,000 every single month just to hold the property. So you close the tab. You tell yourself, maybe when rates drop, maybe when I save more, maybe next year. And another 12 months go by where the only thing building your wealth is your W-2 paycheck. I need to stop you right there, because that story, I can't invest in real estate because I live somewhere too expensive, is not a financial reality. It is a geography problem you've been mistaking for a money problem. Those two things require completely different solutions. Today, I'm walking you through that solution step by step with real numbers in real markets, using the exact analytical framework I use before making any offer on any property. Wealthy real estate investors do not buy where they live. They buy where the numbers work. When a tech executive in San Francisco builds a rental portfolio, they're not buying in Palo Alto. They're buying in Memphis, Columbus, Ohio, Huntsville, Alabama, Indianapolis, Indiana. They treat real estate like the business it actually is, and no rational business owner limits their entire market to the specific street they happen to sleep on. The first mental shift you need to make before we talk about anything else is to decouple where you live from where you invest. Those are two completely separate decisions. Conflating them is the single most expensive mistake I see new investors make. So where do the numbers actually work in 2026? I filter every new market through 3 primary lenses. First, job growth, specifically in durable sectors like healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, and government. These are industries that don't evaporate the way tech hiring does during an economic downturn. Tenants with stable employment pay rent consistently and stay long-term. Second, population growth. People follow jobs and landlords follow people. If a metro area is gaining residents year over year, vacancy rates compress naturally and rents trend upward over time. You want structural demand, not a temporary spike. Third, the price-to-rent ratio calculated as median home price divided by annual median rent. Below 15 is my threshold for a viable investment market. Most coastal cities are sitting at 25 to 40 or higher. Cities like Indianapolis, Columbus, San Antonio, and Huntsville are still comfortably under 15, which means for every dollar you put into acquisition, you're generating a meaningfully higher rental yield. Now let me make this concrete with an actual deal walkthrough. These numbers reflect properties I've personally analyzed in the Indianapolis metro area recently. You find a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house listed at $180,000 in a B-class neighborhood. Solid working class area, teachers, nurses, logistics workers. Reliable tenant pool, low turnover, consistent demand. Market rent for this property type in this zip code, approximately $1,400 per month. You're putting 25% down, which is $45,000. Your loan is $135,000 at 6.5% over 30 years. Monthly principal and interest, approximately $850 for dollars. Here is where most real estate content on YouTube completely fails you, and I want to be very direct about this because it cost me money before I understood it. Your mortgage payment is not your total monthly expense, not even close. And treating it as such will get you into a deal that destroys your finances and your confidence simultaneously. Build the complete expense stack with me. Property taxes in Indiana on this property, approximately $150 per month. Landlord insurance, $75. Vacancy, no property stays occupied 365 days a year. Budget, 5 to 6% of gross rent, roughly $85 per month. Property management at 9% of collected rent, $140. And I want to be direct here, every out-of-state investor should use professional management from day one. This is not a luxury. It is the infrastructure that makes your business scalable and keeps you from being chained to your phone at 10 at night. Routine maintenance and minor repairs, 5% of monthly rent, $70. And the line item that completely blindsided me on my very first investment, CapEx, capital expenditures, roofs, HVAC systems, water heaters, appliances. These components have finite lifespans, and when they fail, the repair or replacement bill doesn't care about your projections. When my first HVAC unit went out, the invoice was $6,200. I had reserved exactly $0 for it. Budget 8% of your monthly rent for CapEx reserves, approximately $112 per month. Total monthly expenses, mortgage $854, taxes $150, insurance $75, vacancy $85, management $140, maintenance $70, CapEx $112. That is $1,486 against $1,400 in rent. An $86 monthly deficit on the surface. And this is exactly where most beginners close the spreadsheet and walk away from what could have been a genuinely solid first investment, just with smarter negotiation applied. There are 3 specific strategies I use to engineer positive cash flow on deals that initially look borderline. First, buy below market by targeting properties that need light cosmetic work. Fresh paint, new flooring, updated fixtures. A motivated seller who prioritizes speed and certainty over top dollar will frequently accept 10 to 15% below asking price. Drop the purchase from $180,000 to $162,000 and the entire financial picture shifts. Second, negotiate seller concessions specifically structured as a mortgage rate buydown. In the current market environment, sellers in many Midwest metros are willing to cover 1 to 2 discount points to get a deal closed. A 2-point buydown takes your effective rate from 6.5% to 4.5% for the first 2 years, reducing your monthly payment by approximately $180. That is often the exact margin between a losing and winning deal. Third, target small multifamily, duplexes, and triplexes specifically. 2 or 3 income-producing units on one asset means lower acquisition cost per unit, higher gross income per property, and distributed vacancy risk. 1 empty unit means reduced income, not zero income. The numbers on small multifamily in these markets consistently outperform single-family when analyzed with discipline. Now, I want to show you how I run all of this accurately every single time, because doing this in your head or on the back of a napkin is how you end up owning a money pit. I use a simple spreadsheet, nothing sophisticated. 4 columns: gross rent, fixed expenses, variable expenses, net cash flow. Fixed expenses are the ones that don't change month to month: mortgage, taxes, insurance. Variable expenses are the ones most beginners completely skip: vacancy, management, maintenance, CapEx. You add them up, subtract from gross rent, and that single number tells you whether this deal deserves a second look or goes straight in the trash. If your net monthly cash flow after all 6 expense categories is positive, you have a deal worth pursuing. If it's negative, even before you negotiate, you move on without emotion. The math is the filter. Your feelings about the neighborhood, the photos, the seller's story, none of that matters until the number's clear. But the spreadsheet only helps if you're looking in the right markets to begin with. Out-of-state investing fails, and it does fail for some people who attempt it almost always for one of 2 reasons. Either the investor chose their target market based on a podcast recommendation rather than doing rigorous independent data analysis, or they went in without building a local team first, an investor-savvy real estate agent, a vetted property manager, a reliable contractor. Your local team is your operational infrastructure in a market you cannot physically monitor. Building that team before you're under contract is non-negotiable. Here is the mindset I want to leave you with. You are not too late. You are not priced out. The constraint is not your zip code, and it is not the current interest rate. The constraint is the mental boundary you've drawn around where you are allowed to invest. Every month you wait, a property in Indianapolis or Columbus is cash flowing. For someone who decided to stop waiting, that person is not wealthier than you. They are not smarter than you. They simply got the framework and acted on it before Dad had time to compound. In the next video, I'm walking through house hacking, buying a small multifamily, living in 1 unit yourself, and having your tenants' rent cover your full mortgage while your entire salary goes toward the next investment. It is the single most powerful wealth acceleration strategy available to a W-2 employee with limited starting capital, and almost no one in your immediate circle is doing it yet. If this gave you one concrete number or one new framework, hit like. It helps this channel reach other W2 workers sitting exactly where you were at the beginning of this video. Subscribe so you don't miss the house hacking breakdown. Drop a comment below with the specific city you're considering for your first out-of-state investment. I read every comment and I'll respond with my honest take on your target market. See you in the next one.